amazing. You see, in the kingdom of the devil and the darkness, it's all chaos. Everybody's at each other's throats. Everybody. Alright. Verse 14. This is the voice saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Now the voice, of course, is the voice of Jesus Christ, because he comes out of the altar. And the horns, of course, are representative of war, pushing forwards, pushing. Jesus Christ is for war, where war is necessary, where war is inevitable, where wickedness faces out righteousness. War is inevitable. It is a fixed inevitability. You try and tell a man of God to back down against evil, and there is an inevitability that the man of God will not stand down. He will not back out. He will face it out. Right, the voice, of course, is Jesus Christ saying to the sixth angel, a ministering angel, all right? Because they're all ministering angels that attend upon the Lord. The sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. In other words, the angels of destruction and of death, in this instance, there are four. Okay. 4 angels. Just representative. It's not literal 4, but representative for 4. For the 4 corners of the world. Within the Euphrates, which is the spiritual realm, of which in Ezekiel we find the Garden of Eden. The Eden of God, as it is spoken of. The Eden of God. That which is upon earth, that was upon earth, was reflective, a mirror image of the Eden of God. And the river Euphrates was there, and the river Euphrates is here. And it's a scene behind the veil. Just as the scene behind the veil at Calvary was of Jesus Christ sitting on a perfect, pure white horse, swift to battle. And opposite was the forces of darkness. This is the realm, the middle realm. Okay? This isn't the upper realm. Alright? This is the middle realm where Euphrates is. Along with the Garden of God. In the middle realm, where the gospel was preached to every creature under heaven. The middle realm, the midst of heaven, where all consciences lie. Right. And they were to go forth. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Prepared by whom? Well, not by themselves, because they couldn't release themselves, but by the one who commanded that they should be released. And the killing of the third part of men, again, is a spiritual term, as we continue in the context of the spiritual. Alright? That they should die. Die, indeed, the death of all deaths. In other words, they should be reprobated. In Romans 5, I believe, it's chapter 5, verse 12. Wherefore by one man sin entered into the world, okay, that's Adam, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, alright, for that all have sinned. Okay, for until the law sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. But not as the offences, so also is the free gift. For through the offence of one, many be dead. Much more the grace of God, and the gift by grace, which is by one man, Jesus Christ, hath abounded unto many. There is a division, you see. There's the reprobate, and there is the elect. And of course this goes on, this pronouncement, throughout the time that God has allotted to this world. This goes on from one generation to the next generation, to the next generation, to the next generation. It flows through. Just as our calling and election is repeated and repeated and repeated every moment, every second of the day. To our souls, come, blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom of God prepared for you. It's justification crying out to the justified man within us, and therefore each day we are being saved each day, and so on and so forth. It is not a once for all saved, but a daily saving, and a daily pronouncement to this world is of condemnation. Simple as that. And the number of the army of the horsemen, we're back to the horsemen. Okay, but in a different sense, they're being reflected here. And the number of the army of the horsemen, verse 16, were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. So, the number of the horsemen, it can be calculated, it can be seen, and yet, again, this is in the spiritual. This isn't exact numbers. This is informing us that the enemy can be numbered. Precisely numbered, understood. But when it comes to God and the angels of God, they are innumerable. They cannot be numbered. But the enemy can. That's what we're being told. We need to get away from this carnal mindset that when numbers are placed in certain places here and there throughout Scripture, that they are physical numbers. They're not physical numbers within the context of what we're reading. Alright? There are many more of the armies of heaven on our side than there are on the side of the enemy. And if God be for us, who can be against us? And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day, and a month and a year, and to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 100,000, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw, verse 17, the horses in the vision, and then them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone. This is hell. This is signifying that they came from hell. Absolute hell hellishness was with them. They were hellish. Having breastplates, okay, of jacinth, brimstone. The heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. Aye, roaring. Hell is roaring forth, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. This was hell on earth. This was sheer hell. People talk about hell as a place that is one. That people are turned into hell. There's also hell upon earth that shall be consumed, consummated in the hell of hells below. And when we say below, we're talking again spiritually of a realm that is not beneath our feet, that is not beneath the world, but in a spiritual context, beneath, lower. It's like being in space. There's no bottom. And all you're doing is falling and falling and falling and falling. If you get untethered from your spacecraft, you will be falling and falling and falling and falling and falling, down and down and down and down and down, but never getting anywhere down. All hell is here upon earth. When you look at the plagues that have visited this world and the wars that have visited this world, hell is sitting there physically, on physical horses, in physical tanks, on physical battlefields. It's hell. And the darkness that surrounds it all is felt physically. The darkness that has been released upon this world at those times. Now we have smoother times. We are now facing times of smoothness. Hell is still there behind it all, but it is a smoothness, a subtlety that we're facing. Okay. And by these, verse 18, was the third part of man killed by the fire and the smoke and the brimstone which issued from their mouths. All hell, destroying a part of mankind, a certain part. As we say, as the scriptures illustrate, as we see in life. Not all things are the same. Secularism likes to paint man or men as all the same. Well, what's in him must be in him, must be in him, must be in him. No, no. We're individuals, and the scriptures keep continually telling us that although we are fallen spirits, we all have corrupt natures, we all are at enmity with God, yet the individual still remains. This is what the scriptures continue to tell us here. And these persons here, again, not a fixed number, but a heavenly number, are tormented, are singled out for these torments. And of course, done so because of the way they have conducted their lives, have brought hell towards them, invited hell to come to them, the hell of chaos and torment in their lives, tossed about, making shipwreck of their lives, whilst others see this and veer away from it, like, that's a bad person. Oh, don't want to go that way. Don't want to listen to those people. Don't want to be in the company of those people. I want to go the way that I see to be right. And people do this. We are individuals. There are those who go the way of hell in this life, and there are those who seek not to go the way of hell, to improve their lives, to improve their lot. That's how it is. But the devil and his angels are always looking for those who want to wreck and ruin their lives. And they will gladly come in, rush in, beat a path to their door. Absolutely, they are attracted by the evil that man sets himself in the way of. Okay, verse 19, for their power is in their mouth. Absolutely brilliant, isn't it? Eh? And in their tails. Now the power is in their mouths, in their speech, in their enticing speech. They entice people, even the gullible. Even the gullible. But you know, at the end of the day, when persons have been sucked in, as they say, drawn in by magnetic personalities with their smooth talking, their words are like oil, and the people love to have it so. Tell us not the truth, say a lot of people. An awful lot of people, multitudes, speak to us not of the truth, but tell us lies, anything to entertain the ears, to tickle the ears, to entertain us. But there's a sting in the tail. There's a nasty sting in the tail of these scorpions, like these locusts that have a sting like scorpions. Okay. It is absolutely awful. And when we see individuals, as we pass through life, stung, in their lives, having followed deceivers, who've ridden in there, with all the authority that they seem to have. You know, we sit up and take note. We are amazed. That could have been me. That could have been me. And you know, the world is taken in by the smooth talking of politicians. And then the people, when they've listened to their politicians, we're talking now of the British, okay? Can't talk about any other government but the government that I know. And I wish I did not know. When the people have finished, the gullible, that is, listening, they then find, and they're outraged, that what they've been spoken to of is fake, false, and that they've been led down a pathway, and that they've been robbed, blind, of the truth. But they still carry on. And it's a stinging thing. It really is. You know, it's a sting in their lives. They've been stung by the rhetoric of the blackguards in Parliament. For the power is in their mouths and the sting in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, with them they do hurt. Same thing. Serpents, scorpions, poison in their mouths. Poison. And of course, when it is used here as serpents, it is exactly that. There's not only a sting, but a poison. The understanding, the intellect, has been poisoned by these blackguards. By these blackguards. let me just say for our day, for an illustration, we have the British Parliament and other parliaments, of course, declaring that we are, as the British people, in the EU. No, that's a lie. That's a falsehood. But people believe it. Their minds have been poisoned to believe that we are in the EU. We're not. We never voted for the EU. We voted for the EEC. And therefore, we should be facing the EEC. Now, when the EEC did away with itself, therefore it broke its contract, therefore it should have been sued by the British government and other governments. And it declares to our faces that it is no longer the EEC and therefore does not belong to us. But now we have the EU. And as we have not voted for the EU, we cannot belong to the EU. But Parliament and other parliaments have spoken the EU into such a being that apparently we belong to it when we don't. You see what I mean by deception? And this is how things go on and on. Okay? Poisoned. We have systems of which, from the establishment, that are set up, and we accept them as children, and we accept them as as youths, and then as adults. And then all of a sudden one day, some of us are actually born again. And there has to be a renewing of the mind, because the mind